come, all in favor, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appeared and the soul felt his word. A trail of hope.
Yes, indeed, of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is, of course, the 29th day of December, and therefore, just about 2 more days before, of course, the New Year is ushered in. But we have, of course, some crucial, critical, and what I consider to be off-the-cuff, merciless issues. I say merciless from the context, or in the context of that of crime and criminality, and of course the sorrowful, the superficial, the superfluous, and of course, and at the same time attempting, of course, to deflect attention. Regrello, the son, the former mayor of San Fernando, is irrelevant. To the concerns of the population of Trinidad and Tobago, and Rowley and they will not be allowed, of course, to deflect attention. I understand, of course, that the death of the former parliamentary representative in the parliament are talking here about, of course, Lisa Morris, Julian. Yes, indeed. That too, they are attempting, of course, to generate some kind of sympathy for them. And then, of course, you have a situation where somebody, the woman's arm, they wasn't sorry for Adrian Barrett. No, they weren't concerned at all about when Rowley, of course, called women and tell them, of course, that they have a right, of course, to have the right man and he not in their bedroom, victim blaming. They didn't come out for that. And of course, they came out when, of course, it was made public that Rowley raped the woman that has his first son. Yes. They didn't come out for that. In fact, they come out for that, but what they did, of course, try to give the most asinine excuse for rape. The most asinine excuse for rape. Yeah. By issuing a video release with the mother of Gat Allen, meaning that Miss Allen herself, confessing, that is how mad these people are, and how corrupt they are, and how desperate they are for power since 2015. Imagine Miss Allen said that she made the child just before she was 18 years. It means that she was 17 years and therefore a minor. It's common sense. Up to now, Rowley has not, of course, acknowledged that fact, that as a teacher, he has committed the most cardinal of sins, the most disreputable conduct as the profession itself, the pedagogy, the teaching profession, can, of course, muster or be disgraced about interfering with, of course, a student. And it doesn't matter whether she was, of course, student in that school or in a different class. Rape is rape, Rowley. And you raped her. And you must pay the price. And, of course, we know that there is no time bar. There is no legal time limit for criminal, despicable matters such as rape. We know that. It's a criminal offense. And Rowley must not be allowed for one day unnecessarily to remain in office. He has been successful so far. I suppose Hitler was as well. Mussolini was as well, yes. And of course, Maduro in Venezuela so far appeared to be successful, but evil could never prevail over good. Let us not waste time. And tonight, of course, we will not be allowed to, of course, deflect attention on Regrello, going into the book of the Guinness Book of Record for playing over, I think, 30-something hours of pan, and Rowley congratulated that and trying to deflect attention and talking about is a national achievement. No! No! We must not be allowed to be deflected. And there are still good things coming out of that incident. That's a PNM propaganda, opportunistic projection, and we must not fall prey to that, as is the case, of course, with causing, of course, Maurice Julian's funeral to be held on the 2nd of January next year. Why so long? Why so long? No one else. No one else. No one else. But this is about political extraction because they want that to be a deflection. And of course, as one person rightly suggests, the utilization, the what I consider to be the evil and abuse of public resources, by saying that he's going to keep, of course, a retreat in Tobago. And around that time, the candidates for Tobago East and West for the PNM will be, of course, screened. We know all of your tricks. That level of trickery must be condemned and damned forever in the abyss of not just criminal behavior, but misbehavior in public office. In addition, of course, to abuse of office. In addition, of course, to corrupt acts and the total and absolute mismanagement of the resources of the country. And those are other and similar piling on issues that we must, of course, address affirmatively and frontally. They must not get away with that. And therefore tonight, they're playing that they are totally flummoxed, confuffled, are in a state of discombobulation and can't respond to the question of crime and the level of which we still have. Today is what, the 29th? 30, 31. 2 more days. And then, of course, the New Year starts. And I know that they are hoping. And don't be surprised if the average amount of murders has not occurred between today, tomorrow, and the next day for them to say that there was a reduction. That is how mad these people are. But it is madness from the as a consequence of the crave for power, the craving for power, the ability to have a unrelenting desire to be in people's faces and to interfere with our resources, our treasury. Of course, with the support and assistance of those who may be connected because they have the responsibility and they have the position. But all, of course, towards a very devious, a very pernicious, a very diabolical, a very wicked and nefarious plot to capture government in this country and to deliver pain, ache, agony, and telling us that that was the best that Trinidad could offer. That may be for Rowley and they, because that is all they can offer because of their vast limitations and their lack of creativity and forthrightness and transparency and accountability. In other words, the PNM is a criminal enterprise managed by criminals. Head criminal, of course, is Rowley himself, and then pretending somehow that because they have the office that they could ride roughshod on the people, and the people must now understand. I say to you, young people in particular, get your ID cards organized if you are of the age of 18. I say to you, if next year you will be 18, before, of course, at least August, go and get your ID cards. You are now required to save Trinidad and Tobago, or should I say contribute to the saving of Trinidad and Tobago. Because the country you save will be yours to, of course, live in subsequently. And I say to those senior citizens who have been once again given the impression that Rowley and they never intended to circumscribe, to emasculate, and to, of course, introduce conditionalities on the accessing of the National Pension Program, the National Senior Citizen Pension Program. I say to you that there's a pattern of behavior. It was Patrick Manning who wanted to turn it into a grant, and it was Kamala Prasad Bisesa who said no. And when they got into office, they did it. They not only rescinded, but they added on twice to make it close to or the 300 or the 3,000 mark that it is today. And it was Rowley and they and the PNM, a criminal enterprise, who during COVID caused many of you who are still alive today to lose your comrades, your friends, and maybe your peers who may be of a similar age at the time, and if they were alive today, they would be. But it was Rowley and they who say, and fomented the information, the disinformation, the misinformation, and give, of course, your relatives, your immediate offsprings and their offsprings, the impression, especially in circumstances where the family would have depended on that $3,000. And Rowley said, listen, get out there and take the vaccine, and if you are not vaccinated, you will not get your pension. That was the fear. And don't tell me that because the Rowley and they could now say that that was never so, that it wasn't the intention. Don't tell me that, and don't tell me I don't understand what I'm talking about, because of course they told us the exact same thing. Same thing. When they tried illegally and illicitly and wickedly to impose property tax long before it was able to formally be implemented as it is today. It was again Kamla Prasad Bisasa, the UNC, that took the matter to court, and the court said that they had, of course, to populate a register of all of the properties in Trinidad and Tobago, and it was calculated to be over 400,000, and of course they must get at least half of that on register before they could implement it. And that is why it is so late in terms of implementation. Otherwise, I'm saying to you that property tax, from the shenanigans and the chicanery that they would have been engaged with, property tax would have been implemented since, of course, before or immediately or during COVID. Let's use COVID as the point of mark, or the marking point, before or after. But just before that, 2019. Let us not waste time. The point I am making here is that they have the capacity, the ability, and they have done it before, not once, not twice, and they therefore do not be in any way deceived by, of course, their sudden self-righteous indignation, and of course their attempt, of course, to what? To sanitize themselves, and to, of course, play as if they are impeccable. The impeccability has gone a very long time immediately, especially when we understood that, of course, the fake emails were in fact a concoction, a manufacture, a choreographing of course, the evil, wicked, diabolical, and limitless ability of Keith Christopher Rowley to, of course, conjure up evil against the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Let us not waste time. Let us understand. And I'm saying so because I expected that in every single constituency in Trinidad, in particular, once again, in particular, the 39 seats, the UNC must get all, because Kamla Prasad Bisesa has been there for you. Has been there for you. And just in case, of course, you are in a state of disbelief, because they are going to come with all kinds of what I consider to be deflections and, of course, narrations that will intended to confuse you, and they believe in the confusion they could get an unmeritorious pass to government once again. I want to tell you, quite apart from the fact that they were not as successful as they ought to have been, if of course their position was real, but it was not from the beginning in 2015, when they raised, of course, those fake emails, and when, of course, they were concerned about, of course, the Section 34 and the Reshmi matter. It was superfluous, superficial, and of course it was a storms in a teacup. Storms in a teacup to hoodwink you. But in spite of all of that, the population had its doubt, and therefore they were never given a full mandate. In other words, they never got a landslide. All the talk were only talking. All the boast is a blasted coward. Hello. And what they will do, as typical criminals, they will boast about their escapades, and of course attempt, of course, because they are in an advantageous position, nothing different to, of course, a person who, of course, sees Granny walking out of the bank with her money to, of course, purchase medicine for her, what I consider to be aging ailment, or ailment as a consequence of aging, and then tell Granny, listen, give me all your money. Give me that purse you have there, at gunpoint. And when Granny says, listen, I have to buy my medicine, and tears may be running down her eyes, her cheeks, or running from her eyes into her cheeks and onto her cheeks. The bandit will say, Granny, I love you. Granny, I'm sorry to hear that, Granny. I understand. And still take the blasted purse with all the woman's money. That is Rowley and they. That is Rowley and they. They say they love us. Conveniently. So he love, of course, and claiming that she is the best parliamentary representative that he has because she dead. He wasn't saying so when she was alive because it was Stuart Young he defended. It was Hines he defended. It was Camille Robinson Regis he defended. And if it wasn't for the overwhelming situation that caused him now, because of course he wasn't able to defend that, he threw her under the bus. Talking about the late, of course, Marlene MacDonald. Because he went, of course, to the town hall in her constituency when, of course, she was arrested by the police and asked the question to the audience in the context, of course, of persons who would have been divorced. And he asked the question, Rowley, if you knew the person who you are now divorced from today, if you knew them then, would you have still married to them? And of course, it was a loaded question or a rhetorical question because the answer was obvious. And that was, of course, no. But the same Rowley would have gone up to Maloney. And when the woman said, well, the men are beating us and they're taking advantage of us, he told them in no uncertain terms, I'm not in your bedroom and I can't tell you what man to take. And he was victim beaten, throwing, of course, gasoline on the fire of these people. That is the kind of predator we are talking about. Political, sexual, etc. predator. We must not, for one moment, relent, renege, or give any consideration. Anytime you do that, Rowley and they will beat you like a road march. Beat you like a road march for your stupidity. That is what they'll be saying. He's so stupid, she's so stupid, they're so stupid. To believe us, to believe that hogwash, your gullibility, they understand. Let's, of course, get back, as today is also Sunday. Tomorrow, of course, we have the ground report. I know people miss the ground report. But let's just, of course, in the spirit of Sunday, as we normally would, honor the corridor transformation. In the spirit, and of course, in recognizing the spiritual significance of the Sunday, even though it, of course, is a Christmas season. Let's get back, of course, to that solemnity. Yesterday, of course, let's pause that there. Let's take the line one time. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Are you hearing me?
Lennox?
Yes, are you hearing me?
Hello?
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you good.
Okay,
yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes. So
good. We
back up
communicating.
and running. Yes. Okay.
Right. Lennox, I say I'm going to tackle you early tonight because so much we have to talk about.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Lennox,
yes, indeed.
You know, Rowley really have no shame like the Likoto Jumbie together with Cobra, eat it out. This man talking 640-something murders, and this man talking about we living in a blessed place. Tell that to the Paria divers family. Tell that to the family of the 640-something people that died. Tell that to the 22 babies' parents that they killed in NICU. Yes, they killed them because the WHO report said that it was carelessness that caused those babies to die.
That's right.
Right? And then and then you have PNMIs. Well, last night I wanted to call him, but I was too tired. Right? But I will say tonight, but I was listening to Lennox.
Well
I heard
said. It will be well
everything
said
that
and
is
well
up.
received.
Yeah.
Right.
Up until a certain point, I'll drop asleep at a certain point. But I want to tell Patricia Reed something here tonight. You're talking about under Kamala watch, there was a group of 10 people that died a weekend. But let me tell you something, in the last 9 years, how many groups we had? How many groups? Didn't Rowley say, tell Kamala and them to get out of the way, we will solve the crime situation? Lennox, am I lying?
Of course not. And of course,
Did
she
he
has to
tell
tell us as
the
well
people?
how many of a similar number over the last 9 years as well. Since, of course, you want to focus conveniently, of course.
On
that
the
nincompoop,
UNC, yes.
And it never amounted to over 600 in Kamala time anyway. So that is an asinine
Exactly,
statement. But
Lennox.
Go ahead. Yeah.
But Lennox, if you see, when they're being paid to come here on your chat and talk a sort of bullshit, you have to put them in the place, Lennox. You cannot just leave it so, right?
Yes.
Imagine in the last couple of days, we had 17 or more murders.
Yes.
I think maybe it's about 20 now. Let's say in the last 5 days, we have almost 20 murders. And then Rowley coming to say that he have his crayfish posse coming to talk such a bullshit when the night come on your chat. Right? You're coming to say that here's a blessed place. It's only somebody who dealing with Obia could say that. Only somebody. But you know what is this for Lennox?
Go ahead.
Where is Horseface Harris? Archbishop Harris. Horseface Archbishop Harris said in 2014 that he know people were leaving by the groups in the country because of the crime situation. Where your mouth is now? Tell me now. I don't want to know where Daisy gone, you know. I want to know where Archbishop Harris' mouth gone. Let me take a sip of water.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead. You go right ahead, man. This is the time for expression.
I want to know where all of them mouth gone.
Yes.
Where Father Harvey? You went and walk around the parliament. Where you going now? And don't ask Archbishop Berkeley, that hypocrite from the Anglican Church and Canon Nollycock. Archbishop Berkeley, in his 2015 Easter message said, wait, hold on, a resurrection is coming, right? All the lies and thing, and they're sharing land for the family. They distributed things corruptly. Where is he now with that procurement? Where is his mouth now with the 1,000 recusal from cabinet? Where are they? And all you want to come here and talk a set of crap? No, all you're going to get it. And you know, Rowley messing up the country. I want to say stronger words because they're messing up, right? But Kamala must step down. Kamala must go, right? But Lennox, I send you some interesting reading from Selwyn Cudjoe, a pillar of the PNM. And I will read a little portion for you.
Go ahead, man.
The irony of the statement, right, is that it took a woman who they call a drunk, incompetent, and can't trust to run the country to rescue the senior citizens from the squalor of falling deeper into poverty than they are now. You hear that?
Wow.
You hear that?
Wow.
A PNMI. Right in that.
Deep and sincere.
Yeah.
Truthful, yes.
It took a woman who they call a drunk, incompetent, and can't trust to run the country. Imagine you have one on the chat right now called Banme, talk about what money Kamala thief. I find it Banme know Kamala thief money. Get in touch with SRPK. Don't come here and make a fool of yourself. Don't come here and make an ass of yourself. Come in to say Kamala thief money. Why didn't SRPK find all of that evidence? I find he should have gone and give her that evidence, and maybe he would have got a portion of the reward. But you know, Rowley who doing all the mess in the country, none of them in asking Rowley to go, you know. But Kamala must step down. And don't ask for the manifesto, Marco. Right? Kamala had to step down. The man not living here. The man cannot vote in this country. But Kamala must step down. Kamala must step down. Let me continue with it. The second paragraph of the article said the PNM must be removed to allow us to inhale a new breath of freedom. Right? This is what this man is saying. They must be removed for us to breathe a breath of freedom, experience, craft, competence in running the country's affairs, and to assure us that we can expect a more normal life in the future. And the man is saying that PNM cannot give us a better life in the future. This is what coming from this gentleman, Lennox. We should rid of ourselves of this corruptible this formation called the PNM during the next election. It is criminal to let them loose upon the population for another 5 years. A quiet period to reassess its value may be helpful to them. PNM should leave us alone for decency's sake. I cannot think of a better gift for this country. Neither can I. Neither can I. We need a better gift for this country. Lennox, you must take a read. Lennox, are you hearing me?
Yes. Loud and clear, man. You go ahead,
Yeah.
man. A good listener
Yeah.
is a good responder. So you go
It's
ahead.
true.
Yes.
Always keeps quiet. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. We have to rid ourselves of this corruptible government called the PNM. We have to get rid of it. And if this man could say that, who is anybody? Everybody's eyes are open as to what it is going on in this country. And the rest of them can't see it. The rest of them can't. But you know what is also ironical, Lennox? I think it was this year. Yeah, because we are at the end of the year.
Yes.
It was
Yes,
this
just
year
2 more days.
when after 9 years, they opened Anglican school somewhere in the country. And Archbishop Berkeley had no choice but to admit, right? They waited 9 years for that school. But you know what? They should have waited 15 more years for the school. Because all they didn't like Kamala, all they believe all the nasty lies Rowley was spreading. And he want to come back with it again. Where do you think they're going to Tobago to do?
Screen the
They got-
Tobago East and
yeah,
West. But at
Yeah.
our expense, as how they brought in, of course, for some public health crime is or criminal behavior
Yeah.
is, and spending, of course, according to them, over 2 million. I'm saying what them say, but we know when we say
Yeah.
when they say 2, you know definitely.
When
it's
they say
much
2,
more
we
than
know it's
that.
more.
But
Yeah.
go ahead, we leave it at the
Yeah.
appropriate time when the
Right.
investigation starts.
But all of them, they kept quiet. And this new archbishop as well, right? All they keeping quiet because they fall in the basket for all year. But God will punish all for that.
Of course.
To see what we going through in this
evil- no
country,
evil
Lennox,
deed could
and
go
none of them
unpunished.
saying a word.
Yeah.
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 Every single religious institution in this country,
Yeah, that's
they
heresy.
keep it
That's
very
heresy.
quiet.
Utilizing, of course, the
Yeah.
name in the name of the Almighty, whether it's Allah, whether of course it's
Yeah.
it's Jesus Christ, or whether of course it's God, wherever it is. But the fact is that is heresy, the exploitation of the religion for nefarious acts. But go ahead. Go ahead.
But Lennox, even that man from the Presbyterian Church, I think he's still acting or something. So he was once a senator, an
Yes.
independent senator,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Even he went after the partnership government. Where is your voice today? Where is that man from the
Well,
Seventh Days Adventist?
Let me tell
Coffee.
you what I truly think. They are so stunned. They are so flummoxed.
They're in shock.
They are so, yes, they simply cannot believe that which they were supporting, possibly sincerely, that could turn out to be so devastatingly to the contrary. And therefore they know that they were supporting the devil. And of course, as men of the cloth, they find it very difficult, of course, to confess. But the Lord said in order for you to enter, you must first be able to confess. So if you can't confess and you are men of the cloth and women of the cloth, then of course it's too bad for you. Your portion, of course, is where the heat never cease. I'm talking about hell itself. But go ahead.
Lennox, but they want me to come and kneel down in a confessional and confess my sins.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah,
They
yeah.
want me,
That
but
is
they
the
don't
level
want
of
to confess.
hypocrisy. Do as I say, but don't do as
Yeah,
I
they
do.
do,
Yes.
but they don't want to confess. They don't want to confess that they're supporting the devil.
Yeah.
They don't want to do that, but because they again, he fall in the basket for them.
Yes.
So they can't open them out and say anything. But Lennox, if you have somebody in your family misbehaving, won't you get help for that person? Won't you talk out against that person
Of
and
course,
try
you
to
will
get help
have
for
to
that
if
person?
you really want to
Right,
help them.
because
If you really want to
right,
help. But of course, it's clear that they
right,
don't want to help. As I said, because there are so many connotations. You remember last night and night before, I spoke about wheeling public opinion. You see, their
yeah,
credibility, because in their case, the default position is that, listen, let me salvage as much as I can. And of course, remaining silent will also suggest that. But of course, people have memory. And therefore, of course, they would say, but as you are saying, why it is they are not talking out? They were very
yeah,
vociferous when
yes.
against Kamla Prasad Bisesa.
Kamala was
How come?
there.
And therefore, they are thinking as well. In other words, the congregations, plural here, the congregations, of
Yeah,
course, referencing several denominational elements in the country. Certainly, you have a duty now to apply your common sense, your God-given common sense, and deal with the matter as I have asked the young people at the commencement of this program to go to the polls and treat with the situation
yes,
as you see it, because the truth
yeah.
must prevail. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, but Lennox, I'm gonna tell you something, eh? The writing is on the wall for the PNM.
Of
And
course.
they are setting out their people in every nook and cranny to spread their lies, their half-truth, their propaganda, and the innuendos. But if they feel because it worked in 2015 and 2020, it is going to work now, they lie. They lie. Because people are seeing, people are feeling it, and people are fed up of it.
And of
We are
course,
fed up of it.
the classic case is that people were, of course, with this newly minted politician called Rowley, when he was prepared to come up against his boss, talking about Manning, and of course, he was concerned
Yeah.
about Judicata and Calderhart, and of course, the
Yes.
corruption, etc. Well, then, of course, he was seen as a budding, of course, corruption eliminator, a corruption
Yeah, he was a
cleanser.
buster. Yeah.
Today he is
Yeah.
a promoter, a corruption promoter.
He's a promoter
And
of
therefore,
corruption. Yeah.
the transition has gone one, and of course the metamorphosis has been realized, and therefore the catharsis, the purging of people's understanding of who Rowley is has now been replaced by, of course, a wicked, evil, diabolical, and of course, totally incompetent, impotent, but of a criminal nature, because he has fomented a criminal organization, or caused to evolve a criminal organization in the name of the PNM, and you only have to watch
The
at Balize
PNM.
House to draw that
I know.
inescapable conclusion. Balize House is the yardstick for that measurement. Go ahead, my friend.
But Lennox, he sat down in City Hall in 2014
Yes.
and he said, if you want to save your lives, vote PNM. He said they don't like us because we have the solution to the problem. 640 murders, and I think it's almost 5,000 since they're there,
Well,
right?
more than that,
Where is the
let me just
solution?
interject here, Miss Salvi. More than that,
Yeah, you go ahead.
all
I'm
of
listening.
them are much more than what occurred under Kamla Prasad Bisesa as head of the UNC between 2010 and 2015.
That's right.
It must be said. Let that marinate in your minds, and let us understand that it is good to be, of course, what I consider to be disemboweled, or put another way, it is good, of course, to be deconditioned, because it is about the mind, so that you face reality and understand that Rowley and they are no damn good. Go ahead, my friend.
Exactly, Lennox. They are no good for this country. They lied. He sat down in Sandy Grande Civic Center and in 2014 and talk about here like Baghdad.
Yes.
Every time you open the papers, it's
Yes.
a murder, this and a
Said
murder.
all of that.
And what is going on now? You bought everything to Kamla's chest. You bought everything. She is responsible. But you washing your hand like Pontius Pilate,
Yeah.
you don't
Say,
want to take
is the
responsibility,
police,
right?
is the parents, is the gangs,
Is the yeah, yeah,
is the poor health because he says that listen,
yeah,
if a
yeah, the
man's
poor
shooting
health,
at
yeah,
you,
the mental illness,
yeah,
they have to go sentence.
look for the nearest pharmacy, and if you find
Yeah,
God, just look for the nearest pharmacy, and the bullet will just simply disintegrate before it hit you. That damn ass.
yeah. The they have enough terrorism for the mad people on the outside. But Lennox, let me tell you something, eh? Rowley making all kind of excuses, and the people allowing him to get away with it. But you know what? It have a portion, a section of us, and they want to say, you getting paid to spread this propaganda. I getting paid because I am a gold digger, right? I don't know where I was digging for the gold from, what part of the anatomy, right? We are getting paid to do this, but no, we're doing it for free
And
because
more
we
than
have
that,
to expose the PNM.
and to be extremely specific, is a certain diminishing group of individuals who are so engaged. Let us not waste time.
Yeah, yeah.
A small, infinitesimal amount of persons.
Oh Lord, here
that
you
is
big word
getting
again.
smaller. Yes, they're getting
Lennox, I
smaller.
can't pronounce it. And since they used the word first time for the night, but this is the second time, I tried to pronounce it and I hear you pronounce it.
Infinitesimal, yes.
I had to get on Metasaurus.
Yeah.
Lennox, but before I go, I want to say something that I heard last night.
Go ahead.
And I was very, very disappointed. What Granny said about Anand Ram Logan, that he's a greedy, nasty man.
Yes.
Anand Ram Logan is a constitutional lawyer.
That's right.
Now she know the people guilty. She know Mr. Coleman guilty. All right, she know that. I don't know how she know it, but she know it. But everybody has a constitutional right.
Beautiful.
To good legal advice.
That's right.
And he is not a criminal lawyer to get them off, but he's a constitutional lawyer. And if what they did, right, based on the Constitution was wrong, it is wrong. Just like how Faris went and did witness tampering with Vincent Nelson, paid him 10 million to lie on Anand Ram Logan and them. If Anand wasn't fighting for his constitution, and I want to tell Granny, and Anand and them would have go down to jail. Everybody has a constitutional right to good legal advice.
Well, I want to nestle the argument in possibly the misunderstanding of Granny, because she meant well, because she was taking it from a moral perspective. If people are guilty, but no, we have a system. The legal system says that whether you are a defendant or whether you are the prosecutor, there are certain processes, quite apart from the fact that you are innocent until proven guilty. That is
proven guilty, that's right.
And if it
no,
is the
you know,
evidence, there's a rule of evidence that, of course, will now be triggered in the judicial process. And if, of course, the prosecution didn't do their work, you cannot blame the defense attorney.
Anand Ram Logan.
No, you cannot. No,
yes.
I did, in fact,
but you noticed
that last night, so I'm glad that you
I heard that much when you were explaining to her.
Yes.
You see, that's why, Lennox, I didn't come and attack her. Right. I said I was disappointed in what she said, because we know that he is a constitutional lawyer, not a criminal lawyer, right? And just the same way they trampled on his constitutional rights. What it is they did, the man is going to stand up for anybody who constitutional rights is being trampled upon by this government.
And you don't want to go down that road, because once you allow the state to arbitrarily take charge, because even to today, when, of course, the 600 plus over 14 facing Rowley, and they start to blame, of course, the judiciary, you know. They start to blame the judiciary, not that they are incompetent, And of course, there are certain criminologists, colleagues of mine, who of course are stating that, as I said last night, the state has the juggernaut resources. They have the police, they have the vehicles, they have the investigative training, they have, of course, the technology and all of that. How come you could give them all of that and still the defense without all of that behind them, and you cannot bring a charge that, of course, could hold up to scrutiny in the court as far as probative evidence is concerned, so as to ensure a conviction? That is not the defense
because Lennox, they want
prosecution have a responsibility, and Rowley and they could say what they want. The fact is that have they done enough? Is this, of course, a true all of government approach and all of that to treat him with crime? Because that is what he said at certain times, of course, quite apart from the multiple other times when he said different things, something not too different from the reasons, the multiple reasons he gave for the closure of Petrotrin. It's similar to that. But go ahead, my friend.
But Lennox, when you remembered when he hired Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, and Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj brought down a legal mind, I'll call it a legal mind, Mr. Purseglove. Mr. Purseglove to help him, right? To help them with the death penalty and so. Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj turned and tell Rowley, the people did not vote for the police, they voted for you. You promised the people to fight crime, and you supposed to fight the crime. Well, I never hear nothing about Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj and Mr. Purseglove again. I never hear nothing about him. And this time, Leonard, before I leave,
just as how Gary Griffith told the truth, and he became, Gary Griffith in turn, or instead became, of course, the target of Rowley.
His enemy.
And he committed, of course, a criminal offense by interfering, of course, with that shortlist that would have determined whether Gary Griffith got a second term if it had reached, of course, the parliament. You never could tell, but the fact is that it was an illegal act committed by Rowley. And
it was.
We had to price it out of him. In the beginning, he said, I have a right, all kind of confiscations, all kind of
cock and bull story. They're good at cock and bull stories.
Eventually, of course, when he realized, and I'm sure that the then sitting president, Paula May Weeks, would have told him, listen, you better get me out of this, It's only when, of course, the vulnerable and the what I consider the extremely powerful opposition leader with the numbers that she has in the parliament, 19, she was able, of course, to initiate impeachment proceedings for the first time against a president in this country, unprecedented, historic. Rowley then started to say, it's me, because I'm sure Paula May Weeks would have spoken to him and said, listen, this arsoness that you own, you better start to talk, And of course, the Speaker of the House did, of course, her part to of course, scuttle the whole process. But go ahead.
Throw it out. Yes. Lennox, I have to read back this for you.
Go ahead.
It took a woman who they called drunk, incompetent, and can't trust to run the country to rescue the senior citizens from the squalor of falling deeper into poverty than we are now. It took that woman to make us get a local government election. It took that woman, as you just reminded us, that who was responsible for the merit list, removing the merit list. It took that woman to blow the whistle on the Tobago terminal. It took that woman to blow the whistle on the Auditor General's report. And it took that woman, you understand, to expose them more and more with the inheritance tax, right? And more she has exposed them, and they could say what they want about her. She was the one. She is the one. Her opposition is the one that is exposing what it is going on here. And Rambachan and all of them could say what they want. Blame her. Imagine Rambachan blaming her for the crime situation. I tell you, these people going mad. Lennox, you take care and you have a good night.
It's trouble that the UNC is on the ascendancy and on their way to the inevitable victory. And Kamala Prasad Bisesa has proven that she has grown. She has, of course, has a quite a barrage, I should say, of experience under her cap, if you want to call it that, or in that head of hers. And boy, oh boy, she has become perfect, the perfect individual to save Trinidad and Tobago and to take us out of the morass and quagmire that Rowley and they have, of course, placed us in at this time. Thank you very much, of course, Ms.
Amen.
Santa Cruz. That is, of course, our external correspondence. You will forgive me if I gave her some leeway and some laxity because, of course, the information she comes with, as everybody would, of course, know, except, of course, those who would become, should I say, jealously impatient because they don't want to hear the truth, and the truth does offend, and people that start to get anxious and they start to get, of course, irascible, and that apoplectic state usually, of course, find them, of course, saying and writing all kind of things as trolls on lives such as this. But let's go to the line. Let's go to the line. Yes, indeed. Let's go to the line. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hey, LENNOX, good night.
Hey, good night to you.
You hear me good?
Yes, loud and clear, man. Loud and clear. Everything seems to be working. I hope we didn't get any unforeseen, but let's go. Yes?
Don't study that.
I study that at all. No, God moves in mysterious ways. His wonders to perform. We just dust off and go again. Go ahead.
Tomorrow night,
yes,
this whole country will be under pressure with all them fireworks and scratch bomb and all this thing, right?
yes,
Everybody does hiding under bed, toilet.
yes.
So I want to know the environmentalist, Gary Aboud. How come he never talk nothing about that fireworks business? How come he never say nothing?
Well, these days, he has, of course, metamorphosized into a different one, like a chameleon. So he's now, of course, a politician, making political statements and predicting who must form government and who mustn't form government. That's all I can say. What else I could say?
I'm telling you.
But of course, all that hogwash, and all that newly found, of course, profession, I think will not be a contribution to his resume because he would have failed on his mission. Yes.
But what I'm saying, he could have lead a one-man protest, right, against direction getting movie tongue.
Yes.
He says to me, movie tongue. Since then I watch it,
Yeah.
He alone stand up and protesting all that.
Right.
All this problem you will have to go through tomorrow. But I have it out. And the son of us so-and-so ain't saying nothing.
Well, just as how he was unable to stop that particular project, then he has now metamorphosized, as I say, to another, or making, of course, himself felt on another one-man protest. That is to say, Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC will not, of course, go into government. He is going to see to it. Well, of course, just as that one-man protest where he failed, it appears that he is a sucker for failure. He will fail with this one as well.
You're feeling all mad on them.
Well, it could be now, because I mean he may be running out of causes now, having regard, of course, to enter where angels fear. Because, of course, that level of dishonesty and insincerity, and, of course, a self-serving, self-righteous indignation, and, of course, a total illusion. Clearly, where everybody have seen now that the man is in a state of cognitive and intellectual decline, a total buffoon. Go ahead.
But let me tell you this now. Right in the area where he is
Yeah.
some years ago,
Yeah.
when I scratched one bus, a old lady dropped down dead. She grandson running, he can't take up a cutlass and chop out the man hand,
Well, look at that.
You see how serious that thing is?
Look at that. Yeah.
So she just be like a market crab here.
Yes.
Yes, Gary Amoud.
Yeah, so
But I say,
he's
you know,
a
but
madman
he
from long time. One man protests here, there, everywhere, and at the end of the day, turned out, of course, to be the jester, or should I say, the jack in the pack of cards.
You know, I would like to, if you listen, him to call this program tonight, Gary Amoud. Call the program and say why you're protesting against the fireworks.
Yeah. No problem with that. Or call and say whether or not you still believe that you have the potential and the resources to stop Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC from forming the next government, which of course the majority of the population know it is inevitable. And that, when I say majority, I don't want it to be for one moment believe that minority, because when you talk about majority, obviously you're accepting that there's a minority, but I want to say that minority is so small, it is even now contributing to the majority, and eventually, of course, it can become and will become extinct by the time the next election comes around.
But here it is before I go.
Go ahead.
I hear Santa Cruz talk about you,
Yes.
And them fellas still getting trouble, right?
Well, you know, Ms. Santa Cruz will have the information, and whether they're still giving trouble or not, it is right, of course, to call them out at this time because they may well make their presence felt in an attempt, of course, to undermine and to sully the chances, even though, of course, they know in their respective minds. Why you think the COP is now, of course, in a state of uproar? Because they want to get in. They want to get in to the arrangement, to the coalition. That, of course, the conditionalities of which Kamala Persad-Bissessar has stated. They believe that they are qualified, and therefore they have to have the right talent to of course, pursue. Ramadan has taken up, of course, the responsibility and the challenge in preparation. But of course, there are those malingerers who know they don't have the ability, that they know that they are limited. They cannot, of course, compete with Ramadan. But of course, because they are members and they once held, of course, executive position, they are going to make, of course, all kinds of hasikara, as some people would say, in order, of course, to limit their chances before they see it as an opportunity and coalesce and come together. They prefer, of course, to mash up the party, lose the opportunity when they should be, of course, lining up behind Ramadan now, who has been there already. And as Kamala rightly said, she was talking to him before the handing over of the party. But the point I am making here, I'm saying all that to say, is that everybody knows that there will be a handsome mass majority victory for the UNC and Kamala Persad-Bissessar, and therefore they are hanging on to her skirt tail. I wouldn't say petticoat, but skirt tail, in order, of course, to be favored at the appropriate time. Of course, she knowing full well what she has to do when, because experience is the best teacher, when they get into government, how to treat with the Roger and others. I'm sure that they are what I consider to be countervailing or mechanisms to make sure that they stay in line for the next 15 to 20 years of a UNC, may not be Kamala ultimately, but a UNC government in this country.
You know that same number, LENNOX?
Yes.
I used to call another station 106.
Yeah.
Before I started calling important thing, yeah?
Okay.
And he was there with the promoter of that program, was pushing the COVID vaccine.
Uh-huh.
And he go to, you know what I said in the morning?
What he said?
He don't understand. Or if you go by a doctor and he give a prescription,
yeah,
you're running fast and buy the medication.
Yeah.
And why people refusing to take the vaccine? I feel like surprised that a man like you could say that.
Right.
The difference is if you get a prescription from a doctor for antibiotics and you take ibuprofen, right away they'll tell you stop it,
Yes.
come off it. But if you take that COVID vaccine, you're dead.
That's right. Ultimately,
You're dead.
so
So
because there are evidence to support that position. But of course,
What
at
I
the end of the day, as we have said in pushback 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that it is your option. But Rowley had put the public servants in a position where he was where they had no choice, could not have had any choice, and secondly, he was prepared to call a state of emergency to force people into taking that vaccine. And who knows, it might have evolved into, of course, compulsory by the state. I think one country had initiated that. I think China, and they, of course, found themselves in all kinds of problems with the draconian measure that they took. People can't leave the place, they're starving, and they can't leave to get something to eat. I mean, it was chaotic.
But hear this now, before I go. That same conversation the morning I was having with he and the host of that program.
Uh-huh.
I ain't gonna call his name.
Okay.
The host. You know what I end up, Lennox?
Tell me.
Because Ramachan agreed with me, you know.
Good.
Because I tell him, but remember when I said, right, the Greek tycoon.
Yes.
But he had everything in life.
Yes.
And when his son crashed in the plane, he had 14 of the best neurosurgeons in the world. The treat his son. He was a coma vegetable, right?
Yeah.
And they couldn't bring him out of the coma.
Right.
And finally he said, there is a God. That's what the man said, you know.
All right, okay. Well, that reminds me of the experience with, of course, Michael Jackson and one of our own surgeons here who, of course, was used as a scapegoat.
Yes.
But all right. I thank very much for that intervention. Yes, indeed. Of course, yes. Of course, people, the question has to be now. I will. Yes. The question has to be now, and I think it's a valid one that is nestled and, of course, has a level of what I consider to be deep understanding. A very simple question. And the question is, what has Kamla Prasad Bisesa taken away from you? Whether you are a supporter, whether you are non-supporter, whether you are a sycophant of the PNM, whether you are a spokesperson, whether you are an apologist, and whether, of course, you are in denial. What Kamla Prasad Bisesa has taken away from you that the PNM gave you, yeah, no way, you know where I'm coming from, for you to be so still recalcitrant as to the inevitability of Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the UNC gaining government in 2025. You want me to repeat? I know that you are thinking, what has Kamla Prasad Bisesa taken away from you? Whether between 2010 or up to now, because she is still, of course, the political leader of the UNC and the leader of the opposition. What has she taken away from you, whether in government or out of government, that Rowley and the PNM provided to you for you to be so recalcitrant, your contumacy, your deliberate resistance? What? Yes, I know. It's a loaded question, but the answer is obvious. It is a rhetorical question. Nothing. And if I am to ask the question in reverse, what has the PNM taken from you that Kamala provided. You know what I say? I said, what has the PNM taken from you that Kamala Prasad provided? Including, of course, what she met in 2010 and never interfered with, but augmented, but enhanced, but increased. What did the PNM take away that she provided? And I'm not going to say, I know that you're expecting me to say, for you to like the PNM. No. That you must hate the PNM. You know what I say? That you must hate the PNM. And of course, some of which was already spoken of on the program, and of course, those callers before. But you know, such a blasted conscience, especially those mature and senior citizens, and of course those of middle age, and those who of course are attempting to search for an excuse to do this country harm, wrong, and to of course cause the toxicity, the poison. That is Rowley and the PNM to prevail. There's no time to be recalcitrant. There is no time to be hesitant. There is no time to, of course, be somehow believing that some epiphany, something from the sky will just drop down and turn things around. He had 10 years. It is now 9. You expect change? Come on. What you will get, I'm sure, is talk, because talk cheap. Talk cheap. So I'm not going to reverse the question to say that why you like them. No. Why you must hate them. Why you must loathe them. Why they must be seen as the anathema to the population of Trinidad and Tobago. Meaning, of course, hate. Anathema. Hate. Hate. And I things will return. Right, good. Things has returned. You want to make a contribution now? Go ahead. All right. Okay. Hello? All right. He has gone. All right. Sorry about that, people. But of course, things will go wrong at the worst possible time. Murphy's Law, it is called. All right. But of course, my apology for that break in transmission. We were going so smoothly along. And of course, the system itself was working perfectly. We got, of course, Miss Santa Cruz in. Hello? Oh, right. Okay. All right. You back on track?
Back on track.
Okay, right. You have a contribution to make? I don't want to... Oh, you just wanted to make sure that we are up and running. Okay. All right, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that intervention. So, we are very concerned, of course, callers who, of course, are monitoring. And, of course, when something goes wrong, they call in one time, of course, for the correction. But let me just get to that clip that I want to play. That, of course, was attributed to the criminal bar head. I'm talking about Israel Khan. Very interesting.
Israel Khan knocks PM's call for collective action against crime. Jade Alaudo 2 days ago. Israel Khan, SC. Outspoken senior attorney Israel Khan, SC, has knocked the Prime Minister's statement on the crime situation plaguing the country. In a post at midnight, on the office of the Prime Minister's Facebook page, Dr. Rowley expressed deep disappointment over the persistent high levels of violent crime, noting that for the second consecutive year, over 600 murders have been recorded. He said there was an urgent need for a united, multifaceted approach to combat what he described as a major public health issue. However, Khan, who is also head of the Criminal Bar Association, described the Prime Minister's statement as a knee-jerk reaction to the unprecedented crime levels, particularly murders. It is outrageous, and the only saving grace is that he possibly admitted that the government has failed to stop the crime, especially...
No, this big man, this fella, he calls himself a Dr. Rowley. I talk about it, and Prime Minister. Here people making a mockery of him. People, of course, who could be easily be a Prime Minister. Let's not waste time. That is Israel Khan speaking. And he is making a mockery of the man. The man don't know when to let go, when to get the hell out of our faces. But we will be tenacious. We will adhere. We will be stick-to-itive. And we will be, of course, relentless.
Murders. He is scapegoating everybody for the atrocious state and crime in the country. He is saying the police are not doing enough and should work harder, so he is blaming the police, despite giving them resources. He blames the family and relatives of criminals for harboring criminals, blaming the judiciary for not giving convicted criminals maximum sentences. But he is not openly admitting that he as head of cabinet and National Security Council has failed miserably in order to protect the citizens of the country by devising or procuring appropriate crime-fighting plans. He has told the nation he is not responsible for solving the problems of crime and murders, and it is not his duty to keep the public safe. He said that it was the police's remit and not his. Khan also referred to a statement by National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines on the TV6's Morning Edition program in February 2022, when he said it was not his duty to ensure that people feel safe and secure. Hines said, "My duty is to ensure that those organizations and agencies that are responsible for the public safety, border security, that they are clear about what the government's policy is, that they are provided with the resources that they need, and that I lend encouragement and general support to them. That's my duty." Khan said, his Minister of National Security openly stated, in a bold-faced manner, that it is not his duty to keep the citizenry safe. They, the government, are of the view that they are not in charge and just give them, the police, the money. However, he said under the Constitution, it was up to the executive to devise plans and policies. The Minister of Health, the Minister of Works and Transport and the Minister of Education would have plans for their sectors, so how the hell the Minister of National Security can watch us in our faces and say it is not their duty to have a plan? Khan said what the Prime Minister and the National Security Minister have admitted was that in their 9 years in power, they have no plan. He accused Rowley of only being interested in the title of Prime Minister and the perks that go with the office. Describing Rowley as a house slave, Khan also accused the government of treating citizens as slaves in the field. How can he say he is not responsible for devising crime plans? Earlier this month, Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Farley Augustine drew the ire of historians for his description of the Prime Minister as a house slave. Augustine's comment came after the Tobago Self-Government Bill failed in Parliament. In his December 27 statement on crime, the Prime Minister called on law enforcement agencies to enhance their detection capabilities, urging the police to make the criminals uncomfortable with penetrating detection methods. He also appealed to the justice system to prioritize firm punishment over leniency for offenders, asserting criminals should not be treated as victims. Contacted for comment on the Prime Minister's remarks on the justice system, Law Association President Lynette Sweet said Lat's council would have to have a discussion, and that she had passed Newsday's request to the council.
I mean, that's a perfect indictment, and at the same time making a mockery, caricature, and lampooning of Rowley. He's an ass. That is what Khan is saying, the head of the criminal bar. That is what he is saying. Let's play it again so you will understand where we are. And of course, he has certified what Kamala Prasad Bissessa was saying again, that the PNM had no plans to come into office. The man getting there by VAPs, he getting there by knee-jerk, and of course, lies, deception, innuendos, and phantasmagorical stories, such as the emails. And you gave him that opportunity. And when he got it, he don't want to come out at all because he liked the perks. That's what Khan say. He liked the perks. He liked the money. At this time when he was telling everybody, of course, the belt tighten. Even when, of course, he got into office and he was saying, of course, that the country has not an insubstantial amount of money, meaning it has a substantial amount of money, because Kamala Prasad Bissessa and they, of course, left it there, whether it be in the Heritage and Civilization Fund, whether it be in the reserve, whether it be, of course, in excess liquidity. But at the same time telling us, because they had a plan, the only plan they had, if there's a plan at all, is, of course, to dispossess the people and to pauperize a certain section, as well as, of course, to augment and to, of course, furnish that 1% that we know now with ham, lamb, and jam. That's what that was all about. But in terms of a plan for Trinidad and Tobago and to equitably distribute our resources in a way that all of us know it ought to do, based on merit and based, of course, on our circumstance, recognizing that there is a need for those who would have fallen through the crack, like, of course, Kamala Prasad Bissessa did. And even when, of course, she formed the Ministry of the People, and when, of course, the downturn in the oil prices came by 2014, after the budget was already announced, so she told them in non-certain terms, all right, every ministry should reduce their budget by about, I think it was $10 million, 10 million thereabout. However, the Ministry of the People must not reduce. Rowley has not only imposed tax after tax to pressurize the people, but recently decided now that he will take away from senior citizens, people 65 and over. Rowley is a wicked son of a bitch. Wicked. Call him for what he is. Let's hear Khan again before, of course, we go further.
Israel Khan knocks PM's call for collective action against crime. Jade Alaudo 2 days ago. Israel Khan knocks PM's call for collective action against crime. Israel Khan knocks PM's call for collective action against crime. Israel Khan knocks PM's call for collective action against crime. Jade Alaudo 2 days ago. Israel Khan, SC. Outspoken senior attorney Israel Khan, SC, has knocked the Prime Minister's statement on the crime situation plaguing the country. In a post at midnight, on the Office of the Prime Minister's Facebook page, Dr. Rowley expressed deep disappointment over the persistent high levels of violent crime, noting that for the second consecutive year, over 600 murders have been recorded. He said there was an urgent need for a united, multifaceted approach to combat what he described as a major public health issue. However, Khan, who is also head of the Criminal Bar Association, described the Prime Minister's statement as a knee-jerk reaction to the unprecedented crime levels, particularly murders. It is outrageous, and the only saving grace is that he possibly admitted that the government has failed to stop the crime, especially murders. He is scapegoating everybody for the atrocious state and crime in the country. He is saying the police are not doing enough and should work harder, so he is blaming the police, despite giving them resources. He blames the family and relatives of criminals for harboring criminals, blaming the judiciary for not giving convicted criminals maximum sentences. But he is not openly admitting that he as head of cabinet and National Security Council has failed miserably in order to protect the citizens of the country by devising or procuring appropriate crime-fighting plans. He has told the nation he is not responsible for solving the problems of crime and murders and it is not his duty to keep the public safe. He said that it was the police's remit and not his. Khan also referred to a statement by National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines on the TV6's Morning Edition program in February 2022, when he said it was not his duty to ensure that people feel safe and secure. Hines said, "My duty is to ensure that those organizations and agencies that are responsible for the public safety, border security, that they are clear about what the government's policy is, that they are provided with the resources that they need, and that I lend encouragement and general support to them. That's my duty." Khan said, his Minister of National Security openly stated, in a bold-faced manner, that it is not his duty to keep the citizenry safe. They, the government, are of the view that they are not in charge and just give them, the police, the money. However, he said under the Constitution, it was up to the executive to devise plans and policies. The Minister of Health, the Minister of Works and Transport and the Minister of Education would have plans for their sectors, so how the hell the Minister of National Security can watch us in our faces and say it is not their duty to have a plan? Khan said what the Prime Minister and the National Security Minister have admitted was that in their 9 years in power, they have no plan. He accused Rowley of only being interested in the title of Prime Minister and the perks that go with the office. Describing Rowley as a house slave, Khan also accused the government of treating citizens as slaves in the field. How can he say he is not responsible for devising crime plans? Earlier this month, Tobago House of Assembly Chief Secretary Farley Augustine drew the ire of historians for his description of the Prime Minister as a house slave. Augustine's comment came after the Tobago self-government bill failed in Parliament. In his December 27 statement on crime, the Prime Minister called on law enforcement agencies to enhance their detection capabilities, urging the police to make the criminals uncomfortable with penetrating detection methods. He also appealed to the justice system to prioritize firm punishment over leniency for offenders, asserting criminals should not be treated as victims. Contacted for comment on the Prime Minister's remarks on the justice system, Law Association President Lynette Seabaran-Sweet said Lat's council would have to have a discussion, and that she had passed Newsday's request to the council.
Yes, indeed. You know, and those who believe that suddenly there must be a spokesperson or an apologist for PNM and the nonsense, they came out and talk about what Farley called Rowley a house slave and that is offensive. The mere fact that it was said. But in fact, the description is appropriate. It is appropriate. The rest of us are taken for fools. We must do all what he says, and he is doing it and doing so in a vacuum with about 21 of his colleagues, all of whom have conspired to put Trinidad and Tobago in the doldrum that it is in. And you mustn't call him a house slave. But I endorse that as well. Can, well done. Well done, Can. Farley, you of course took the gauntlet and you let the people know. And to France, with those who have a different view, this is a democracy. But you cannot tell me that Rowley is not acting as a house slave. You cannot tell me that. He won the perks. He just gave himself millions of dollars. Give himself. And the person who, of course, tried to alert us that it should not be so, that the government will not take the money, was Leon's, the representative, the former representative, I should say now, for Laventil East Morvan, the Rastaman. He spoke the truth that the government shouldn't take it. You know, he cannot contest that seat again. He has been excommunicated from the PNM. That is how wicked these people are. Let's go again and see if we are going to get a better response now. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
keep telling us.
Ah, boy, yes, boy. Oh, gosh, finally. Yes, go ahead. Yes.
I started joining your program a little late, so I kind of miss out a lot.
Yes.
But I heard you talking about Rowley there.
Yes, yes.
Wasn't it Rowley who told Kamala when she had 490 murder, which was the highest she achieved, that if she's not part of the solution, she is a part of the problem?
Oh, yes, definite. Definite.
But
He
man,
was vociferous, he was assertive, and he was, of course, authoritative, yeah.
Yeah, this man he's get on my spirit, just wake up my spirit, boy. This man don't know how to handle the crime.
I say he don't know when to hell to get out.
Yeah, because look, I was checking something, right? I checked how Panday spent over 5 years, and I tally the murder total for that 5 years, 473 for 5 years, you know.
Yeah.
But they Panday 473
and the previous NAR, I mean, it was the lowest in very difficult times, except when, of course, Rowley and the PNM, that is, concocted a situation to, of course, cause the population to lose faith when they were part and parcel of the creation of the 1990 attempted coup.
Yeah, because look, you have 12 vessels that the former regime purchased and park up their ID because of what? Diesel? I mean, that is so shameful. 12 vessels for the Coast Guard.
Yeah.
And they can't get diesel. This is a joke.
Yeah, and they're comfortable with that, coming back in our faces and
what is well planned?
Going and talk to themselves and saying, well done. Well done. Imagine that. Going and talk to themselves, you know, in Tobago, retreat time at our expense. In more ways than one.
Yeah, but I think, but they're desperate because those two seats in Tobago worrying them, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, so the money go share like that.
Yes. yeah, of course. We have seen it. I said it already. 50 million just before the 6-6.
Yeah, I figure out this man, you know, that 50 million is for Tobago.
Yes.
I seen he through a looking glass, boy. This man is really evil, boy.
Yeah, he is. Tobago. He has that proclivity. He has that predilection. Like he born so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Evil.
And I watching some people on your chat.
Yes.
I seen some on your chat there. PNM propaganda machinery there.
Oh yeah. You let them talk. They can let them be the heart out. The truth will offend them. They will continue, of course, to be irated. But that is how it is. That is why they are there. Yeah.
Yeah, they are suckers for punishment, as you say.
Yeah.
Suckers for punishment.
Definitely.
Oh God.
And they know it, of course. Right? But it is at the end of the day, rain doesn't fall on one man's house. So therefore, we have to save them as well. We have to save them.
So all these people on each other, they don't buy food, they don't go in the grocery, they don't go and make markets, they don't travel, they don't drive cars. I mean, come on.
They do all of the above.
Yeah, so they don't live anywhere. The property tax. Who bring the property tax, Kamala or Rowley? it's Rowley. So who paying for it? Rowley or them? Or unless I don't know somebody, maybe they'll be subsidized by Rowley. I don't know.
Yeah, they suffer in silence. They are suckers of punishment.
Something is wrong with these people, man.
Yeah.
Something is wrong with them.
Yeah.
Because if you take what the last regime under Kamala, she had all these health centers open from Monday to Friday.
Yes.
From 8 in the morning, 9 o'clock in the night, and then Saturday and Sunday.
Tell them, my friend.
Oh gosh, boy. And for the old people, the same people who say they're born at PNM, they're at PNM, that was for them. And the reason why she did that was to take up the workload off of the hospital, Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
All these health centers will take up the workload of the hospital. So you won't go in the hospital and wait in 3 and 4 days in accident and emergency. Oh God. Why they wicked to themselves so, boy? Anyway, Have a good night, eh?
Yes, my friend. Well, of
Have a good
course,
night.
as
Alright.
you spoke there, I think the adage came to my mind there, and that is, of course, yes, all right, yes. The adage came to my mind that there is none as blind as he or she who refuses to see. So I think that adequately, of course, described these trolls or who believe that somehow they can, of course, change history, the future, prophecy, that Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC will be the next government in this country, because Rowley and his cohorts, a bunch of thieves, have failed. And you need to conjure up the right words to describe them. You know, you have to describe them as political cobos, picking away at the carcass of course, the late minister, keeping her body until when the 2nd of January to try to get some kind of political currency that has, of course, lost its value in totality. Yes, indeed. And we must call them out for what and who they are. And we must not, of course, lose opportunities so to do, as they continue, of course, to pretend what they are not, and that they are no damn good. That is what they are, no damn good. But let's go on, of course, that is what Khan said. But let's hear, of course, on the whole question of crime and criminality, what Rowley has been saying in recent times. We're going to, of course, just have a few clippings, because, of course, tomorrow night and the following night, we will, of course, be engaged, of course, in the year 2024 in review, and all of these on crime, on the economy, on agriculture, on, of course, the financial system, the various budgets that we would have gotten, etc. We compare, of course, with what is happening or what has happened in 2024 as we move inexorably into 2025. But let's hear this one.
I want to touch on is the issue of the dramatic escalation in criminal conduct in the country. We have always had crime. We've had increased levels of crime. We have had and have been experiencing in recent times inordinate levels of crime. And in the most recent times, we are seeing the brazenness, the bold-facedness, the impunity with which certain criminal elements are operating, largely with the use of firearms and through the organizations of gangs and hired killers in our community. As long as these developments are taking place, they are simply confirmations that we are not getting the upper hand of those who have chosen crime and criminality as a.
Let's hear another
Prime
one.
Minister Dr. Keith Rowley is urging the population to work with the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to curb crime. Speaking at a media conference on Monday,
All kind of
Prime
things
Minister said
in.
while all arms of the state must
All
respond
through the
to
year.
crime, he called on the
Hogwash
population to stop
nonsense
protecting
to
criminals.
no avail.
He was asked to address the murders for the year thus far and the recent Sangre Grande murders on Sunday, which resulted in the shooting of 6-year-old Kylie Maloney.
Appeal to the public. If you know something, say something. The police are not magicians. Many people know who is doing what and what is going on. You could save a life. You could save this country by giving up those who have taken it upon themselves to live the life at the end of an AR-15. Those boys who are doing that, they have mothers, they have uncles, they have brothers, they have friends, they have cousins. If you know something, do the country a favor and stop protecting these criminals.
He said we must be concerned about the prevalence of guns and ammunition in
Level of criminal activity over the last few years has been the cause of great concern. So says Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. Speaking at the sun-turning ceremony for the Roxborough Hospital, the Prime Minister said sadly criminal activity involves violent acts being perpetrated by some of the nation's youth and too often results in the loss of life. Dr. Rowley said the surge in crime has left many wondering about the cause of this type of behavior.
Comment while not being trained in universities would tell you that it has to do with them, those young people who engage in that kind of conduct, not having a commitment to a future. And they react to live fast, die young, life means nothing if it does not mean a good life for me now.
He said he hates to think that this is true. Dr. Rowley said citizens worked for many years and at the end.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says crime fighting is not just a matter for the police. He says it's a question of parenting, personal responsibility and lifestyle. Dr. Rowley is encouraging communities to take a more hands-on approach when it comes to reducing crime. He was asked if he himself felt safe in Trinidad and Tobago, considering the increasing amount of criminal activity.
But given the
He can't talk. He get
reckless behavior
get
of some people, there are things that you have to always be aware of your personal surroundings, your personal safety. And whereas there was a time when certain things were not in front of you. I grew up in an environment where I can tell you no, exactly where I was and how I felt the first time there was a murder in my district. And that happened.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley was speaking during a question and answer session in Barbados this weekend with fellow Prime Minister Mia Mottley. Asked by reporters for advice on how Barbados should handle its crime situation, the Prime Minister said the solution is a long-term one.
And it's not simply something that involves locking up people, shooting criminals, incarcerating the population and so on. There are deeper issues which can take us to the source, but they are not overnight solutions to be had. And we in Trinidad and Tobago have been extending a lot of our resources and our effort, holding the line against the criminal element.
He says it is unfortunate that rising crime is being driven by mostly young persons who have no value system or value for human life. Prime Minister Rowley told reporters that there is no temporary solution and it must be treated like a disease so it can be wiped out and prevented from coming back.
This whole question of viewing the level of violence as a public health issue, being that it affects so many people, it is so frequent and it is so now inherent in our population.
Well, that's when he began to go mad. That's when he began to go mad.
Of the country, there are concerns about the future.
We're going to be on this merry-go-round until we lose our balance and spin off in pain and destruction. We have to address this issue where the problem lies.
And it's where Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley zeroed in. Speaking at the opening of the Sinclair police station on Friday, he repeated calls for parents to step up.
A significant portion of the difficulty in this country is poor parenting.
And on the heels of a recent school term marred by violence, the Prime Minister said a critical age group is at risk more than ever before.
By the time they get to age 17 and they come out of the school, they're no longer under the school disciplinary umbrella. They're now out there in the society. Some of them are working, some of them are lining, some of them training to handle firearms. And a whole wave of violence is unleashed. And you ask yourself, what would have happened between the primary school angels and the demons that the police is confronting from time to time?
Undaunted by the scourge of violence sweeping over the youth, Dr. Rowley promised to redirect resources.
Commenting on the recent instances of violent crime, Prime Minister Rowley questioned the thought processes of the perpetrators of such crime, summarizing that this country has serious social difficulties. He noted that interventions are in place, which he lamented may not be enough.
I can't recall a period of time, a matter of weeks, seeing the viciousness of crime, frequency of crime in and among family members, out on the street. I mean, it is just a while ago I made a comment that we are a violent society.
And apparently there are some people who are attempting to prove that statement true.
The Prime Minister admitted that more will be done on a continual basis to tackle the increasing crime situation. He noted that all persons involved in criminal situations will be dealt with.
If you know your family members have illegal guns, you're not getting a pass from me.
On his tour of Tobago, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley expressed his concern about criminal behavior, but called on citizens, especially parents, to change the nation by implementing proper and time-worn principles in bringing up their children. Marie-Therese Bernard has more.
The Prime Minister did not mince his words in Tobago as he expressed his concern about the attitude of those doing wrong in the land.
We have made a name for ourselves as a violent society. There's no two gainsaying that. Because a lot of those murders, some people have taken the position that crime pays is the business of crime. Others are crime of passion. Some are intra-family, some are on the street. There's a whole range of crime. But it always seems to be that somebody thinks that snuffing out somebody's life is the way to handle a situation.
He said there are laws in place to deal with the outcome of crime and criminals, as he urged citizens to take back our society.
We just need to work our way back from that. We'll be better than that as a people. We didn't always have that as a signature. And what the government is doing is ensuring that the circumstances of discovery are such that persons would be reasonably well assured that if they conduct themselves in that manner, that they will be discovered and prosecuted.
He says the guardians of the nation against crime are the police, but also called on parents to engage their children to do the.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has questioned what's become of the next generation as he remembered his childhood friend, slain Tobago resident John Mills. 70-year-old Mills and his wife, Yulin John, 40, were found in their hands with their hands and feet bound and throats slit at their home at Buko New Road on Thursday. He shared a picture with his classmate and buddy, John Juka Mills, at their alma mater Bishop's High School last year. In a Facebook post, Dr. Rowley said, "What have we become? What are we producing as the next generation?" He said John grew up together with him in poverty and with pride, but violence and criminality were never part of their life. Instead, he said, they shared lunch money and loved one another as they worked hard in the classroom and competed fiercely on the sports fields, honoring their parents.
This year, we already have a record number of murders, even as there's an overall decline in general criminal conduct. The murder rate is driven by the too easy availability of firearms, gang engagement, turf protection, and revenge killings. The police and other security agencies are permanently engaged in crime detection and suppression, but clearly the current systems and methods are not sufficiently robust to bring the level of safety and security that the population demands and deserves. I have seen it said that this can be rectified by simply rotating ministers or politicizing the crime-fighting efforts. All this will do, as it has been doing, is to embolden the criminals who believe that the rest of the country does not have what it takes to bring the lawlessness under control. This PNM government is not prepared to give up the fight against the criminal element. And I want to repeat that. This PNM government is not prepared to give up the fight against the criminal element. We will continue to improve and to use the whole of government approach by resourcing the security agencies so they can perform more effective.
Prime Minister and head of the National Security Council, Dr. Keith Rowley, is meeting with the leadership of the Protective Services, including Commissioner of Police Ella Christopher and Acting Chief of Defence Staff Group Captain Kemba Hanez, at the official residence of the Prime Minister in St. Anne's. On Tuesday, the Prime Minister issued a statement on the proliferation of guns and violent crimes in Trinidad and Tobago. He said the love affair and glamorization of firearms and the wanton disregard for human life in Trinidad and Tobago has now gone beyond concerning to the ridiculous. Dr. Rowley said the current violent crime spree will not be tolerated, and he assured that the state will redouble all efforts to curtail these violent outbursts and will hunt down and disarm the perpetrators. Prime Minister and head of the National Security Council, Dr. Keith Rowley, is meeting with the leadership of the Protective Services, including Commissioner of Police Ella Christopher and Acting Chief of Defence Staff Group Captain Kemba Hanez, at the official residence of the Prime Minister in St. Anne's. On Tuesday, the Prime Minister issued a statement on the proliferation of guns and violent crimes in Trinidad and Tobago. He said the love affair and glamorization of firearms and the
Israel Knox PM's call for collective action against crime. Jade Alaudo 2 days ago. Israel Khan, SC. Outspoken senior attorney Israel Khan, SC, has knocked the Prime Minister's statement on the crime situation plaguing the country. In a post at midnight, on the office of the Prime Minister's Facebook page, Dr. Rowley expressed deep disappointment over the persistent high levels of violent crime, noting that for the second consecutive year, over 600 murders have been recorded. He said there was an urgent need for a united, multifaceted approach to combat what he described as a major public health issue. However, Khan, who is also head of the Criminal Bar Association, described the Prime Minister's statement as a knee-jerk reaction to the unprecedented crime levels, particularly murders. It is outrageous, and the only saving grace is that he possibly admitted that the government has failed to stop the crime, especially murders. He is scapegoating everybody for the atrocious state and crime in the country. He is saying the police are not doing enough and should work harder, so he is blaming the police, despite giving them resources. He blames the family and relatives of criminals for harboring criminals, blaming the judiciary for not giving convicted criminals maximum sentences. But he is not openly admitting that he as head of cabinet and National Security Council has failed miserably in order to protect the citizens of the country by devising or procuring appropriate crime-fighting plans. He has told the nation he is not responsible for solving the problems of crime and murders, and it is not his duty to keep the public safe. He said that it was the police's remit and not his. Khan also referred to a statement by National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines on the TV6's Morning Edition program in February 2022, when he said it was not his duty to ensure that people feel safe and secure. Hines said, "My duty is to ensure that those organizations and agencies that are responsible for the public safety, border security, that they are clear about what the government's policy is, that they are provided with the resources that they need, and that I lend encouragement and general support to them. That's my duty." Khan said, his Minister of National Security openly stated, in a bold-faced manner, that it is not his duty to keep the citizenry safe. They, the government, are of the view that they are not in charge and just give them, the police, the money. However, he said under the Constitution, it was up to the executive to devise plans and policies. The Minister of Health, the Minister of Works and Transport and the Minister of Education would have plans for their sectors, so how the hell the Minister of National Security can watch us in our faces and say it is not their duty to have a plan? Khan said what the Prime Minister and the National Security Minister have admitted was that in their 9 years in power, they have no plan. He accused Rowley of only being interested in the title of Prime Minister and the perks that go with.
Yes, indeed, of course. I thought I should give you that montage, if you want to call that, that plethora of different. And we're going to examine that because you would have seen, of course, Rowley, like he has gone mad. He has run out, of course, of excuses, clearly, over the years, as far as crime is concerned. And it just reinforces, of course, what we already know, but we need to emphasize. A pleasant good night. Welcome, of course, to the corridor.
Hey, there.
Hey.
You hear me good, right?
Yes, go ahead, my friend. Yes.
I hear Rowley say, well, live fast and young.
Yes.
Right? But if you go to a party, you watch too much of movies.
I agree with you. The man has gone mad. It's everything under the sun that could have been invented and an appropriate verbalization. His vocabulary would have been exhausted to find, of course, the solution to one problem, crime. The man start with children, he start with parents, he start to talk about the churches. He talk about, of course, the criminals themselves, and of course the country being known as a violent. Yes, the country knows that for the first time, the sixth worst for crime in the world, Trinidad and Tobago has been under Rowley. So he don't know that he's the problem. So he doesn't know that. But go ahead, my friend. Go ahead.
Live fast, young. Have a good-looking corpse. In the rest of that statement he making here.
Yes.
That is from a movie called Knock on Any Door.
Knock on Any Door. I'm going to look for that tonight. Yeah.
We don't people that. And John Derek.
All right.
The next thing I want to say is this, Lennox.
Go ahead.
You know that everybody is in America, Donald Trump in the election?
Yes.
The next city at over they want to take away gun too. No, they have no problem with that. No, Trump and everybody keep the guns.
Of course, just as when Kamala gets in, she will have to bring legislation to make people defend themselves. Your home is your castle, man. Therefore, the nonsense about what? A man invading your home, you have nothing to defend yourself, and you say, but what? But you generating, according to Rowley, that Rowley narrative, somehow we become more violent. Is similarly asinine. When the thought, and that's to show you their thought pattern and how they seen others, that which is in them. When the idea was provided that they should of course try to make people work from home, so ease up traffic, etc. Rowley turn and say, listen, it's Trinidadian you're talking about. They ain't working when they come to work. They go work when they're home, and then of course their social welfare intervention policy. You notice, of course, that they want to take away from the aid because according to the minister, they don't have already, and we saw during COVID when they were lining up for hampers. She tell them that they're too greedy because they have this perception that since they are stealing and since they are everybody doing the same thing. That's right. But they should be walking up the street and going, and then they put you on some assistance and afterwards investigate. No, you have to go through a long procedure. Some people commit suicides, they kill the children die, etc. by this kind of what I consider to be obscene and perverse policy position. Yeah, go ahead.
When everybody have a gun, everybody have respect for one another.
Obviously.
Like how it is in America.
Yes.
Good thing they get rid of Biden and Trump come back there. So what are we talking about?
The man gone mad. It's stupid. I didn't know he's so damn stupid. And he suffers from a serious inferiority complex, you know.
Yeah.
Serious. He in birth and in birth also has the short man syndrome. But of course, when you look at them, they are cowards. They don't see things through, and they always have what one of the callers said last night, and I agree with them. Their policies have the Cobra effect.
How much winner?
The Cobra effect. I'll explain that after, but go ahead, my friend.
When we're only going to talk about public health and all this shit, will they come out here and sell out the money?
Yes.
Right? That is a public health issue, and according to you, you take a tablet. Right?
Yeah, go and find a pharmacy quick, and when you take the tablet, that's it. The bullet will never injure you or reach you, as the case may be. Yeah, it does dissolve. It's in it.
Get 2 paracetamol.
Yeah.
2 paracetamol
tablet. Man sounding like Don Quixote, man. You want to fight a windmill.
A windmill, yeah.
Yes.
But here this now. All the other prime ministers in the Caribbean, they may want to part of Rowley, you know, they don't know Rowley.
Of course, they know he's an ass. He's just arrogant, contemptuous, and because he has the backing of the law that is associated with the office of Prime Minister, and it's as if by automation or by default, he believes he could bring on the worst and pressure the people simply because he has the authority so to do by virtue of the office he holds, and has expressed it. over and over and over. Who must take chances with this man? No one. 39 seats in the tail and get rid of the PNM once and for all.
That's why Barrage argued they say that we didn't move away every fantasy.
Yeah?
Because only rush down there in the election that's happening, so Granger.
Yeah, all of that, yes. So
remember?
Yeah, they're always on the wrong side. Always. That is a typical case of the Cobra the Cobra effect. Cobra effect. But I'll deal with that after.
Yeah, you resulted him come out yet and you want to know it to say we Granger.
Yes.
And then you want to make friend with Barrage argue?
Yeah, because he tells himself that his partner will irregardless of the result. The results is not important. Just as a trader, the results is not important.
Yeah.
Even though he Rowley lost, the PNM lost. It is not important because them have a right to rule, to do us, of course, all kinds of evil.
If you get time tonight, watch that movie I tell you about.
Yes, I certainly will. I'll call you when I finish to get a reminder. Let me just finish up here. It's already 9 minutes past 10.
All right.
All right then. Thank you. Yes, people, of course, the Cobra, the Cobra impact, the Cobra syndrome, the Cobra effect is really, there's another term for it. It is called adverse incentive. Is when, of course, like Rowley and they, you propose several policy and programs that is supposed to address a particular problem in the society, and instead you bring on more problems. Well, that is Rowley and they. It came from, of course, when the British tried to get rid of the cobra snakes in India. And when they would have reached a certain... All right, I'll finish afterwards. Go ahead, caller.
All right. Okay, right. Thanks for taking the call. I know you're almost on the way out. No,
at the 2 minutes of our program tonight. But go ahead, yes.
Yeah, what? I sent you a clip.
Yes.
On the results with the election in Guyana, right? With the President Granger. How they tried to thief the election.
Yes.
Now remember, Exxon found oil in 2015. So to me,
that was the focus.
I think the plan was
they couldn't afford to lose, even though they lost. Yeah.
Right. So he was liaising with Granger, so he would have kept the refinery open. So they would have run the thing. The oil would have been coming from Guyana to Trinidad.
Yeah.
But Granger lost the election. So that whole thing fall through.
Yeah, because
so
the Lord moves in mysterious ways. It's divine intervention. Not that Trinidad would have been...
Right.
Because we would not have been better for it. Because it's con men and criminals that are at the helm of this government. Is a mafia syndicate. Stuart Young, he and the other members of the cabinet. And just imagine, Stuart Young doesn't want to answer for spending our money to go to Venezuela and who he would have met there, because the Dragon deal seemed to be amorphous. It can't come to no conclusion. It can't be implemented. And of course, since they got into government, we're talking about 9 years. And what has happened, the result is that having depended on that, put all the eggs in that basket, we end up, of course, not being able to get our $10 or $15 US in the banks today. Having closed down, of course, the oil refinery and disintegrated Petrotrin. I mean, come on. Yes, my friend. Anything else?
All right, Mr. Leonard.
Yes, okay.
All right. Well, no. Just check out the clip now.
Yes, I'll check it out. My friend. I'll check it out. Yes, indeed. Yes, people. So the Cobra impact, the Cobra syndrome, the Cobra effect came about. That term came about. It is also called, as I said, just as a piece of information for those who don't know, it is also called, of course, the adverse incentive. Because when the British wanted to get rid of Cobra in India, there came a time and they were giving them money in exchange for every Cobra that they caught. There come a time when they were not a Cobra. So what used to happen after that? The people used to mine the Cobra and then go and sell them. Sell them off. So they had Cobra farm where they were, so that finding a Cobra and of course exchanging it for money continued in that way. When the British authorities get to find out, they decide that they ain't giving money again for any Cobra. Well, the people with the Cobra farm just let go all the Cobra anywhere, helter skelter, higgledy-piggledy, and therefore created a problem that they started off attempting to solve. They created a more problem. That is Rowley and them. Everything they touch, they say they are the best, of course, in terms of transforming the population. I ain't talking about crime yet. We don't know what crime has produced their crime plan, their 10-point crime plan. All the talk they talk about, they have no crime plan now. 10 point in 2015. You must remember that. But of course, they started, of course, with sandals. The best thing, CNN, Fox News will get advertisement and so on. Gone. Seabridge, they said Tobago will never suffer. Well, boy, Tobago was almost subjected to what we see on television and in other parts of the globe. That they had some kind of famine. Some kind of famine there. Because goods from Trinidad, on which they depend, to reach up there, especially edible items to sustain the human being, was problems. Business places, groceries and so on, shelves were being emptied. Every single thing they touch. They touch Petrotrin. Today, of course, we have no blasted, we have no foreign exchange, because in the process, they went, of course, and said they negotiate, because he is the best negotiator for Trinidad and Tobago. So he went up to Texas and he negotiated a gas price, and as a consequence, about 12 companies leave point leases. 12! Thus reducing our ability to earn foreign exchange, because they were, of course, foreign exchange earners. And of course, he said that Heritage would have been, of course, a profit-making entity. One would have expected that it would have increased its production of oil, but it has been reduced. And of course, saying that, of course, that the NGC was in fact a cash cow for the UNC, meaning that it always had money. You know, it bust twice under Rowley. Bust twice. The shame to say, the shame so much that, of course, the minister, who is now, of course, the Minister of Energy, is Stuart Young, a total moron. Start to say that some deal in the past, the shares fall apart, and that was as a result of UNC doing. But for the better part of 9 years, you were of course doing what you said the UNC was doing, utilizing the NGC as a cash cow. Suddenly, when it busts twice under you, you then said, not only that, the national investment entity or fund, that they said they would take, of course, the assets of former CL Financial and Clico and so on. Thief Dupre. Dupre probably died a broken man in terms of his heart. To know what he sacrificed his whole life and built, to see Rowley and they in one fell sweep with a stroke of a pen and the presence of Rowley in the Prime Minister's office just destroy the man and his, of course, I'm sure his associates who built it. You know, that fund too, it make no money. And to conclude, I finish yet, but to conclude, the Heritage and Civilization Fund, it too didn't make money I think it was last year or year before, for the first time. For the first time, the Cobra effect, the adverse incentive effect. That is what Rowley and they will be known for. And that is his legacy. Totally incompetent, impotent. But I think of course, we have to do justice to the question of crime and criminality and what the true position is. Well, let me tell you what Rowley's true position is. He has confessed that he's an ass and that he knew nothing and that they had no policies and programs, as of course the head of the criminal bar would have said, I talk about Israel Khan, as you heard tonight. Listen to him now. Listen to Rowley. Confess.
Circumstances beyond our control gave us some good news. The Minister of Finance reported that
I don't want that one.
Because of the circumstances beyond our control gave us some good news. The Minister of Finance reported that because of the unusually high oil price and some improvement in the gas price, we are
or approach east. Want to talk about party elites and meet him outside on the pavement. Or approach east. I haven't met him so far.
Correctly.
And meet him outside on the pavement.
You call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom. I'm not in your choice of men. You call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom. I'm not in your choice of men.
Or approach east. Want to talk about party elites and meet him outside on the pavement.
You call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom. I'm not in your choice of men. You call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom. I'm not in your choice of men.
Take it in your pooch.
The people of this country are quite correctly
holding
this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe. Right now, the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element, but you hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who.
Take it in your pooch.
The people of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe. Right now, the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element, but you hold the government accountable.
That is the truth. That is the truth.
There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We're taking the advice from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be.
Yes, people, of course, your vote will decide. He has confessed that he is no damn good. They can't deal with crime, the economy, agriculture, our finances, but they could thief too bad. So when you're ready, you know what you have to do in 2025. Of course, we have come to the end, people. Of course, it's already 22 minutes past the hour of 10 o'clock. Have a wonderful rest of the night, and don't forget, of course, that tomorrow morning, the ground report, Andy, Mike, and myself with these and other stories. And then, of course, we come back here tomorrow night on the corridor transformation. Have a wonderful one. Bye-bye.
Put them out with total scorn and utter disdain. Let's put our country together again. What you want to be.
In the national budget, the choice of men. You call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom. I'm not in your choice of men.
Take it in your pooch.
The people of this country are quite correctly holding this government accountable to secure the country and to make you feel safe. Right now,
the Ministry of National Security is the largest single allocation in the national budget. We are losing the war against the criminal element. But you hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. The country is awash in blood. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We're taking the advice from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
Your vote will decide our destiny.
So once again, people, of course, I have a wonderful one. We have come, of course, to the end of tonight's program.
You know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide what you want to be. Your vote can foretell our country's fate. Move and use it well before it's too late. If it is that who you're voting, fail beyond a doubt. When you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is they prove it to be only full amount. When you're voting, vote them out. Vote them out. If it is the time is now that change should come about. Just as how you vote them in, vote them out. Register and vote them out. If they don't see, vote them out. Stain your finger and vote them out. Show them no mercy, vote them out. Vote them out with total scorn and utter disdain.